I guess so. I guess it's just fuck me, right? Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Midnight Spotlight, the home of some dudes who got thoughts on movies. My name's Cole.
My name's Carlos.
My name's Dalton.
And we're back with thoughts on none other than a modern Halloween classic, Trick or Treat.
Trick or Treat.
Directed by Michael Dougherty, who is, I'm sure it's not a household name, but the guy did Krampus. He also did Godzilla King of the Monsters, which is the best of the modern Godzilla movies that somebody here may or may not have something to say about because a certain creature ran in the movie. But, that's neither here nor there. We're not talking about Godzilla today.
It's debatable. But, yeah, we're not talking about... I don't know why the fuck you brought it up, man.
You know what?
Hey, we're here to talk about Trick or Treat because this is the grand finale to our big Halloween bash. And I think it's time
and a happy Halloween it is.
Yes.
Who would have thought? We did the unthinkable. We unleashed an episode a day after we released another one. And that's all I had to say about that.
What do you think about that? What
do you have to say?
I think in our terms and agreement,
it's
not there.
I don't think you're outlining this. So, right.
Yeah.
But we are on YouTube, by the way. If you're watching us on YouTube, hello. If you're listening to us, thanks for listening. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and get into it. This is like fitting in, I guess, with what we've ended up doing, which is covering almost exclusively movies from the 2000s. This sits squarely in that, 2007 horror anthology, but it's a different type of horror anthology. It's not like all these, it's not like Other Girls, okay? It's got, it's very interconnected. It's not segmented out where it's like title card segment, title card segment. It's really cool. And, it's going to be kind of hard to like, talk about non-spoilers, but we're going to do it, and I'll let you know when we do talk spoilers.
Yeah, we'll talk about it pretty shortly, because, for the most part, I think this movie came out in fucking 2007, so if you haven't seen it, then you're probably not going to see it.
Watch it.
If we tell
then
spoilers,
what are you doing?
You can go watch it. But, this movie is relatively popular, despite never, ever getting a theatrical release until this year. Apparently,
that is pretty wild.
It's definitely grown quite a bit, but I'm honestly very surprised that this movie never got the legs it needed to kind of like be a commercial.
Like in terms of like studio,
in terms of like studio
cyborg legs.
I feel like it has everything for that kind of thing. It has more popular actors, or well-known actors around the time.
Was it straight to DVD?
Yeah.
There it was at the time. And it's crazy, that's just a prime example of like the horror fandom, I guess, coming together and spreading word of mouth, and it let it thrive. Of course, I think this is also kind of like, this is before the end of Blockbuster, so the title, like the DVD cover alone is like enticing enough to draw you in, and then you get all the good word of mouth. And that it's a recipe for success, which I think is what this movie is, If we're going to talk movies that truly feel like Halloween, I think this is at the top of the list. More so than Halloween, maybe.
No, definitely more than Halloween.
Say that, but
this one is definitely a Halloween movie, like a Halloween holiday movie, straight through. It actually is like almost creates tradition through like its use of rules and the rules it kind of follows, and of course everything is Halloween related. Like most of the kills are Halloween related. Most of like the, I guess, more the characterization is revolved around Halloween. But it's definitely a really creative movie. It bleeds orange pumpkin spice and
orange and
brown
black
candy. Not kidding. Not that
brown shit. No, I don't know about that.
But I think it's cool to like mention. Sorry, go ahead. Say what you're gonna say, man. Just say it. Just say it.
You mentioned
say it though.
You mentioned Blockbuster, and it was like when I saw the poster, I was like, I feel like I've seen this at Blockbuster when I was a kid or something.
Right? It has that appeal where it's like something you would have seen on the shelf at some point. But no, what I was going to say is that this actually started off as like a 4-minute short called Season's Greetings that Michael Dougherty did as like a final college project, kind of combining his love of animation and horror together. And that's where Sam made his first appearance. I mean, if you're going to talk anything about this movie, I think the iconography of Sam is probably the biggest takeaway from
Is that
it,
his name?
at least in terms of, the little sackhead dude.
I just called him
that
Trick
everybody
or
knows
Treat.
about now. Yeah, Mr. Trick or Treat. But no, it's cool, like, as hell to see all the Sam stuff. Like, even going to Spirit Halloween, you see so much, like, merchandise and stuff for Sam. And people may have not even seen the movie, but they know who he is. And I'm like, that's how you know this movie was, like, a success in its own way.
Yeah.
They still have that?
I feel like it... What?
At Spirit Halloween, they have all that stuff
The
still?
the Sam head?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
They
feel
have
like,
Sam head. They have, like, even little figures and everything.
Yeah, this I feel like this movie, I mean, even with that character, that's what I mean about it had like all the ingredients for like the making of a big studio kind of like franchise. Because I mean, it has a story that works with continuous different like tales being told, so you didn't have to focus on making just one movie. It can be like a couple directors coming in and making an anthology that somewhat connects. And also you have Sam, who I think he has an iconic look. He has a great look. He's designed really well. And it's super unique, but I don't think it ever got off the ground. Well, it has recently in the last couple of years, especially since Universal definitely started kind of
Marketing him more,
picking him up and marketing him more. But before that, I think everybody knew him only from seeing on like DVD covers and stuff like that. Which, of course, it doesn't really get him the legs to become like a Titan the Terror as like a Michael Myers or anything like that, but I think he deserved it.
Yeah,
I think this movie is just as creative and fun as all these other ones. I think it's even more fun than, let's say, even like a first Friday the 13th or even like a first
I'll
Halloween.
agree with that. Hey, I'll take any chance I get to slander the first Friday. No, okay. Look, all I'm saying is that if somebody says their favorite horror movie ever is the first Friday the 13th, I'm going to have some questions. You know what I mean? Yeah, what Dalton said, run away. But no, okay. Look, I've seen this movie multiple times. I know you've watched it before, right, Carlos?
Yeah, I've seen it
You've
once.
seen it before. But this is your first time, Dalton. And so
This
when I was...
is my first time I've ever trick or treat.
Okay. But when I was describing this movie to Dalton, I was telling him like it feels very much like a comic book in a way, in the way that it's presented, and because there was like behind the scenes a huge reliance on like storyboarding and having like the visuals in place to be able to like not only sell to distributors and like producers and stuff, but to also like nail the look that they were going for with this. But would you say that kind of holds true from your experience watching this?
It really felt like a comic book inspired, especially it had like the comic panels in the beginning and the end, and the music at the beginning, I could have sworn it was by Danny Elfman, but when I saw it, it was like I don't remember the guy's name. I think it's like Douglas Pipes or something, and I thought it sounded like Spider-Man 2 music, and I was like, is this Danny Elfman?
Yeah, I feel like it had that same kind of feel. I definitely felt that as well, where it was like almost like a Spider-Man-ish kind of like spin to it, and I think I wouldn't doubt if it was, because I mean that music was definitely very popular. And I think like it definitely had like, it's very, I don't want to say it's classic, but it's very fun. It adds to like the ambience of Halloween. I feel like it has like the orchestra that's like almost, because when you listen to Halloween music, like Halloween music, it's usually like a little bit more, when you think of like, when you think of the music, it's not really like very raw or like harsh or anything like that. It's very like fun and like
whimsical,
but also like almost like an homage to like classical scary music, but like with almost like a modern twist. And I think that's what I heard when I was listening to it. So, I like the creativity behind that.
Yeah, the guy who made the music for this also made, because I looked it up after, the music for Krampus, which I haven't seen.
Oh yeah, that's interesting, because that's, like I was saying, this is the same guy who directed this one did Krampus.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so they're like buddies.
Maybe they're more than buddies, huh?
Ooh.
No. All right, but yes, go ahead, say.
Say what you're gonna say. He also made the music for Monster House and Barbie.
That's a movie I have a lot of thoughts on.
Barbie Marzipan Fairy Princess. So that was like, that's
sweet.
why that's familiar. Barbie.
But
It's a classic for a reason.
Exactly, right? And this movie, it has such a reverence for the holiday that it's like infectious, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like at its core, it's even I would say this movie is like heartfelt in a way. You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's
it feels like an ode to like Halloween.
Yeah. And it's like there's so much about not only like, the rules, if you want to call them that, but just about having fun with it. And in that way, there's a strange emotional core, because I feel like there's such an emotional attachment that Michael Dougherty had to it. You know, and I was like watching some behind the scenes stuff and some interviews and whatnot. He was saying that his birthday is like only a few days before Halloween. So his whole life, he's just been like enamored with it, because that time of the year is like the time for him. And I think it really comes through. I think it's a cool thing.
Yeah. That celebration is definitely brought through here. He's kind of celebrating it as well as paying homage not only to the holiday, but I found he actually was inspired. I feel like very inspired from a lot of other Halloween movies, like, or horror movies that are really fun. You know, there was instances of Halloween, obviously very obvious homages to that, and Child's Play, seen as like Sam and Chucky
Cox.
and Sam, they have like very similar builds, so obviously there's that kind of like scariness of like a miniature kind of character is very obvious. But yeah, I thought that was really cool, and that was done very well, I believe. You know, it wasn't like in your face. It was like, well, we just want to do this because it was from this movie. It's like, oh, it works for the movie, and I think I have a lot of respect for that.
It's not like a straight rip on it or anything like that without any ingenuity. It's like definitely its own thing. I think that like goes so far with this, because there's like almost nothing else to really compare it to. Like, even though there's so many other Halloween movies, there's so many horror anthologies, I feel like this is the only one that nails the blend that it has so perfectly. Because, like, I guess to, like, say a general plot, it kind of just bounces around characters that end up running into each other throughout the story. And, like, somebody compared it to Pulp Fiction. I wouldn't go that far. It's not exactly like that, right? But there is some similarities in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it's not compared to that. I feel like Pulp Fiction. Well, I mean, Pulp Fiction is like that same kind of idea, but it never really was that same kind of like, I guess, not creativeness. It wasn't as clean cut, I think, or creative with that part as Pulp Fiction or anything like that. But I think it was really cool to see there was some kind of interconnection there, mostly because they're in the same city. So that means like this Sam creature is kind of watching over them, and it's like a weird god type thing. It's fun. Yeah, I think it's
and I think that plays into like world building. No, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was
Carlos
just
got me all riled up before we started recording, man. He's doing things to me.
He's doing a little something.
It's fun. That's all I can say. That's really all I wanted out of this movie, and that's what I got. I don't know. I feel like, Dalton, what do you think?
Yeah, when I was watching this movie, it felt like two Goosebumps books like smashed together, but not written for dumbass kids.
It's like, it's so cool because, like, I don't know, in a way there is a lot of world building going on, you know what I mean? Like, throughout the whole thing, like, the more it goes on, the more there is to it. And I think it's cool how everything becomes so recontextualized. The more you watch it, you get to see like different perspectives, and it's like, oh, okay. Which, you know, we'll talk about that a little more when it gets to spoilers, but there's so much cool stuff in this, and it's like, to really dissect it, I feel like we have to go into like very specific details, but no, it's important to note that like this has become more than just the movie it was. You know, like, there are comics now, like actual comics that Michael Dougherty had worked on with, like, or collaborated with others with to make sure it stayed true to it. And there's even like a sequel. I mean, there's like a sequel been rumored to be in production ever since this movie came out. That I think is finally starting to get some ground.
Yeah, but
it felt like a. Oh, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead. No, go ahead, Dalton. Go ahead.
Right.
I'll go ahead. Don't worry. Yeah, but it did feel like a series of short like episodes, and then it had like that common thing you guys mentioned of connecting them all together. So I thought that was pretty cool, because if it was just one subject, I don't think it would have been as strong. It was like an anthology kind of.
Yeah, I think it was similar to almost like a Creepshow kind of idea, almost in that comic booky way as well. That's what I feel like there was a lot of similarity to, but I think this one didn't need that crypt keeper kind of like character in it. It just like it was just interconnected, and the story was being told, and you didn't feel like you were jumping from place to place very like jarring to me. It was natural. I feel like it worked really well.
Sam kind of felt like that crypt keeper to me because he was like in every place.
Yeah, he ties it together.
That's true.
He ties it all together.
Does.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
He's like the host.
But I think, yeah, exactly. That's a good point.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, I said he was kind of like a god character, but I think like a host is a more fitting opinion for Sam. But he fit, and he had a bigger role in this than just like a person like hosting. I think. We'll get into spoilers in that, but he had a cool involvement in it all, towards certain parts of it. But I don't know. We can just give the rating and get into spoilers if we want.
Yeah, because like it's so hard to not talk about specifics at this point. You know, there's only so much you could really say before it's like, yo, this.
I mean, at the very least, we can say it is pretty technically good, pretty technically sound.
Very, very technically sound. I think
performances were done pretty well. Gore and practical effects were pretty good, pretty great. I really liked those aspects of it, and the how it's shot. I mean, it's suitable. It's not. I don't think it was anything crazy special, but it was fine. Hey, dude.
No Godzilla King of the Monsters, huh?
No,
I'm kidding.
You just want to talk about that nature VCR at the beginning.
What can I say? All right, so like this, it's weird because like when we've had Dalton on, right? It's like we've been watching movies and we're like, fuck, man, we're trying to make him want to be doing this with us, not watching like these boring movies. So what did you end up thinking about this one?
I like this one a lot. Definitely creative and has a vision, unlike the other two. I mean, the originals of the other two definitely do sound like it, but these one, the remakes are just like sound like they're just trying to get something for profit or something. And this one felt like, I don't know,
it's from the heart, huh?
Felt like a guy actually cares.
Yeah, exactly.
From the
Carlos hit me with it. Okay, this is gonna follow in the tradition. I guarantee you. Go ahead and just say it. Just say it. I just want to hear you say it.
It was a good movie. I rated it a 3 out of. No, I'm just kidding.
No, okay.
Hey, come on.
3 out of 80.
There's a running thing where you can take any one of my favorite horror movies, and Carlos is going to give it a singular score, which we'll have to wait and see if that's what's going to happen.
No, I mean, I'll say right now, I gave it a 7 out of 10 because I mean it's a sound movie.
Yeah, that's the number.
It's fun.
That's the number.
Yeah. Hey, dude.
Go ahead.
I can't say it's still great. I think it's a fun movie you can watch on Halloween, and I've watched it 2 years in a row, and I've actually grown more of an appreciation over time, and also with the second viewing. There's definitely a lot to it. There's the characters are fun, the stories being told are really, really great, and some of them stick with you, some of them are pretty forgettable, but it is what it is. I think Michael Dougherty had something special that unfortunately the studio didn't see that as well. But I mean overall 7 out of 10. It's really good, better than average for sure, but not quite the 10 out of 10. I don't think it wanted to be a 10 out of 10 either. I think it was just fun. And I think that's all I wanted it to be. I really respect it for that.
Nice.
Okay, yeah, that's it. Just nice. Okay. But yeah,
podcast over.
Yeah.
See you later.
All right. Needless to say, no, this is one of my favorite horror movies. I don't have a single fault with it, to be honest with you. And I'm going to be very curious to see what holds it back so much for you, Carlos. But no, it's one of my favorites. It's something that, despite it being such, a perfect Halloween movie, it's something you could watch at any time of year. And, just have a blast watching it, It's one of those things that's, at no point is it, too slow for its own good, or does it ever not know what it is. But because of that, and I would agree with you, I don't think it's trying to be, this perfect movie, but in a way, it's just kind of all comes together to being something that I love like that.
It's special. I think it's special. Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. Special. And it is. But yeah, I guess, we'll go ahead and get into spoilers. Somehow we managed to get that 19 minutes without going into spoilers, but we will. So let's talk about your favorite scene in the movie, werewolves. What did you think about the werewolves? Because that's how I first found out about this movie, right? I was
werewolves?
There's werewolves in it. Yeah, and I was like,
just like the movie.
Oh.
Hey. I'm not gonna say
I can't
nothing
blame you. I
about
can't
that.
blame
No,
you.
I can't. Yeah. No. We didn't talk about any of the actors, but
Yeah.
no, there's Brian Cox. I said his name once, but you know, if you're listening back to it, it's probably gonna sound so random because nobody acknowledged what I said.
Wanted to say Cox.
I just wanted to say it. And we also had Anna Paquin, who is one of like the werewolves, right? And she was like
very
definitely
surprised.
the heartthrob of that generation because she was in True Blood, which was
she was also
big
in the X-Men
hit that everyone forgot. Oh yeah, she was. Wait,
Yeah, she was
Rogue.
Rogue.
Oh, I thought she was.
That's how I remembered her.
X-Woman.
She was the X-Man. It was X-Men about X-Women.
Oh, hey, that's what I've been saying.
Hey,
That's
we were talking about
literally what they said in the
Spider-Man
last
2.
movie.
We're talking about Spider-Man 2 and that professor from the movie. He's the serial
X.
killer.
Dr. Connors.
Yeah, Dr.
Okay.
Connors.
He would have been the
Yeah,
lizard if they
definitely
made
not
it for
Professor
COVID.
X. No, I'm kidding.
He's Mr. X.
He's
All
just a
right.
college professor.
Mr. X.
He ain't bald. He ain't
That's if he
bald.
loses his degree. Okay.
Gets bald.
All right. Look, here's the thing though. I think she did a good job, you know, and like the way that I especially like that werewolf story because it's just like it leads you to believe it's going to be one thing, and then it comes kind of out of left field. Was it like that for you, Dalton, or did you kind of get the idea they were going for something else?
When they said it's tradition, I thought they were going to be like witches, but I didn't see the werewolf thing. But now that I'm looking back, I'm like, God damn it, how did I not see it? It was so obvious. She was
Yeah,
Little
and
Red
there's,
Riding
like-
Hood. She's a Huff and Puff. I'm like,
Right?
what the
It's
fuck?
perfect.
Was I
And that's why it's
sleeping?
like it's so fun
good,
to
though.
go back and watch it.
Yeah, and I laughed out loud when she said, it's like, yeah, she was the runt of the litter. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, it just has
pretty
fun
funny.
with it.
I was
so-
like,
Catch that.
And like that also I think has like probably the best inclusion of how the story is like circular, right? Because you get to see another guy earlier who's I think he's a teacher. I'm guessing he's a teacher
I think
who
he's
ends up,
like either a
killing
teacher or
kid.
principal.
Something like that.
Obviously, the kids in the neighborhood know him, so I don't think they actually refer him as. They only refer him as Mr. Whatever.
Something or
Cox.
another.
Oh, maybe not.
Yeah,
that.
Mr. Cox, yeah.
Excuse me?
But you know, they never referred to him as like teacher or principal or anything like that. But you know, that section was I think wasn't forgettable, but I think it was the least interesting for me.
Which one?
The lichen one. I think I don't call them werewolves.
Oh,
they're
really?
Like lichens, yeah.
Huh.
And,
I thought it was so cool.
I mean, it was cool. Like oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, I thought the makeup was really cool, and before they started taking their skin off, I was like, damn, this ain't a bad way to go.
Honestly,
But then
right?
they did that, I was like, ugh, this is really disgusting and cool.
I really like that transformation though. That was pretty fun. But it's just like that whole section. I was almost like uninterested in it until like the ending of it, when the actual reveal of it all. Because you know you expect one thing, and obviously you think it's either going to be witches or kind of like a sex party. You know, it's more than likely not going to be a sex party if it's Halloween movie. So you're like,
That's
oh,
kind
you're
of where
witches.
it like
and then,
leads it though.
yeah,
You know, it's
I
like
think,
what you think is going to happen.
yeah, but I
A
think
lot
that
of
lead is-
innuendos.
They were
is
like
rather
gathering people.
uninteresting. Yeah.
Well, what I meant is like, okay, so there's like this other dude who's like a vampire or some shit going around to the party that these werewolves are trying to pick up dudes to kill at, right? And this guy ends up being that principal that we're talking about, and it's just like the weird way that it ends up happening. It's like strangely believable within context of the story because he's like such a weirdo, but it's something I definitely didn't see that coming the first time I watched it. I was just like, what the hell?
Yeah, I didn't
and it's
see
kind
that.
of like
Yeah.
that for everything, right? So what was your favorite part, Dalton?
I'd have to say probably the werewolf part for me, just because it's just like stylistic and I liked it.
No, I know
Yeah.
what was your favorite part, Dalton.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
Yeah.
All right, Carlos. And what's yours, huh? What's yours? And why is
Who?
it
Me?
kids getting killed? Yeah, in a bus.
It was actually that one. I actually
was?
really
I got
like
it
that
right.
one because they actually had I had a lot of lore to it. I was like, okay, this is
does,
actually really
yeah.
interesting. And also the kids' costumes that they made to scare her were actually done really well. And of course, the ending, like that whole lead up, I think is done pretty great. And you kind of know where it's kind of gonna go. But I was, the kid actors were great. I thought they were pretty fun. Like usually when it comes to kids, like it's pretty like hit or miss. It's like really hit or miss for kids. But for these ones, they did a pretty good job and they were interesting. And you kind of cared for them, with the little time you
Yeah.
spent, and of course, like the actual design of the monsters that kill the kid, which it sounds
That
like
was
brutal
great.
deaths, but
Yeah.
I really like that part because of
'Cause
course
you get to see him at the end.
yeah,
All
they look great, and also it balances on that line of like showing kids, getting killed, and then also, having a more a movie that kind of transcends the regularities of like Halloween or horror movies, and I think that was pretty fun. I think it was really cool to see that, and I always like seeing Sam at the end, kind of like how he treats these characters, and there's almost that mutual respect for people that actually like care about the holiday. And I think that was, of course, at the very end. I think that was a really good ending. Well, that wasn't the end of the movie, but that was a really good ending for that section. Even though
because I was going to say my thought.
I feel like it was there was definitely a shorter part of the movie. Well, not the shortest, because I think that was definitely the cold opening, but I think it was probably the most fun I had, and probably the section I remember the most.
Yeah, because like Rhonda, I feel like is such a good character for what she plays, right? Like as the kid who loves Halloween, and she's like viewed as like an outcast.
Yeah.
It's just it all works so well together in that part, and that's why it would make sense why Sam would be like on her side. He's just a little guy who wants to promote the spirit of Halloween, and she gets it.
That's really what I liked about that part of the movie with this whole Sam character, because he established rules, and he wasn't like a pointless like I'm gonna kill everybody and everything because I'm evil. It's just like I'm here to make sure everybody has a good time. That has like a good
and
Halloween. That's all he's there for.
A grouchy old man.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you can't tell me that wasn't like a great way to end his storyline. Is that he's actually the bus driver, though.
That was perfect, and that again, that was a good transition. That built lore that eventually led to a really good payoff. So really
all
good
the more
section.
props to the movie because of it.
Yeah,
revenge.
Good job, Michael
They
Dougherty.
got revenge on his bitch ass.
I mean, if anything, to be honest with you, I would have said that like the opening scene is maybe the one that I like the least. But like, I still really like it. It's like perfect as an opening. It's just like it's simple.
Yeah, it's great.
Makes you wonder. But like, I think the other ones are a little more fun, and that's like all there really is to it. It still wraps around great. You love getting to see how the other characters swap perspectives. So like, you have the guy who works for the school like killing kids, and you find out he's getting his own kid in on that, talking about carving. But it's not pumpkins; it's human heads, right? And then you get to jump around to see the other side of why this old fucking grouch is like screaming for help after telling him to like get the fuck off his own property. It's a great way of going about it that like I think it really speaks to Michael Dougherty's direction when he can like make all these characters act so perfectly in what they're supposed to do.
All the kids were like brats. I was like, come on, ghosts, get him.
I know, right?
Except Rhonda. Rhonda was chill.
Rhonda's the real one.
Yeah, I know. That was like that's why I really liked that one. But I mean, all of that. I mean, you brought up part of it was like the little details. Like you notice, like he was getting attacked by something, and you're kind of like, oh, what was that? But you don't find out until the end. And I like that little detail. Like you see the connections, and then every now and then they're like kicking around in the city, and then in that part when he's about to cover the head, he's like, oh, I don't know if I can watch movies tonight because I got to go to the city. I'm going on a date. And they actually thought it was like, okay, since he's kind of done with the story, he's not going to come back. But then he does. It turns out he's killing people or sucking people's blood as like a semi-vampire or like almost vampire.
How did he kill that
really
one girl?
Detail. How did he what?
How did he kill her? Because like she just got blood out of nowhere. Did he have like a knife hidden?
I think he had fangs that were like able to pierce, but he's not a real vampire. That's like the fake out, right? It's like he has fangs that clearly penetrate. Is that appropriate? No, I'm kidding. But it's like right? Yeah. Carlos. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Carlos. I'm kidding. But no, okay. Carlos, they're clearly able to act as real fangs, but he's not a vampire. And it's like easy fake out. Wait, what?
Were they the? I mean, that's what confused me because they took them out and they looked like plastic.
Yeah,
the werewolves took them out.
I think that was like they were supposed to be like real, but they only used plastic.
It's just a prop thing.
Yeah, it was only a prop, and Yeah, that was fun though. He was turning out to be this weird killer, and I liked how they implemented that. In this parade, she was like calling for help, but she just looked like another person, a drunk person.
I know.
And like even when they turned the camera just that slight bit when she was right next to that pack of like zombies, and they're kind of like, oh, she's drunk. And they looked, and I was like, oh fuck, that sucks. And then of course she gets
right
killed, but she looks like a junkie on the side of the road.
They thought of everything because I was looking for stuff to like nitpick. I was like, wait, what did someone notice?
That's what it falls in for me too.
Yeah, and then they answer it, and there were like a couple times during the movie. I'm like, wait, what? Like that shouldn't happen. Then he answers it later. I'm like, I should just shut up.
But no, and then like you wrap it all up in like, man, what do you want to call it? Like not only is it the color grading, but it's just like the way Michael Dougherty presented everything that just makes it fit so perfectly. Like even though it's not just like falling leaves, on the sidewalk. It's like you get to go to that nasty looking swamp where the kids were drowned at, right, against their will. Which, by the way, I know what Carlos's favorite moment in this movie actually is that he was too afraid to talk about, and it is when he got to see the teacher in the cat costume open the door and start asking the kids if they wanted beer.
Oh yeah,
when they had like an orgy and that shit. I knew you were gonna bring that up too. I saw this scene and I was like, Cole, I know what you're gonna say.
I forgot about that.
Hey,
I'm gonna fuck him up if he says. I'm just kidding.
Hey, that's the guy who said he could. That's the guy who said he could take Michael Cera, and no, he didn't mean in a fight. He never said in a fight. All right, and hey, my point with that is Michael Cera could have been at that party, but if he was, Carlos would have been there too. Look at him grinding his teeth and shit.
He wants to be branded on Michael Cera.
Oh, for real? I was going to say it, but I'm glad you did.
Speaking Cole and orgies. I thought it was pretty funny how he was going to watch that nature video in the very beginning. Dalton then mentioned that he's like, she's like, go ahead and watch the nature video, and he's like, yes, and then he just watches porn.
I know.
And it was just a weird way to watch porn because he was literally just laying on the bed. He was like,
I know, he's just waiting. He's just like listening.
Okay.
He's like imagining. No, I'm kidding.
This is a weird way to do that, but
better than trying to scroll to page 86, right?
Yeah.
On the hub? No? Okay.
I don't know.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Hey,
what is
he's trying to cover his own. I know you know. You done told me you know.
Hey,
anyways, I'm glad that we got to talk about a movie that we can all agree it's actually that good,
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear it.
I finally got to watch a good movie.
Right? Yeah, I know. It's like we're trying to get him to want to do this with us. So I'm glad to know
Last Strike.
Oh yeah, I know, right? But no, I'm glad you liked it. Would you say that like it is? I mean, obviously too soon to like really say, but like, is it one of the better horror movies you've seen, or how do you feel about it in context to everything else you've watched?
I didn't give a rating, did I?
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
Not yet, but
give your rating.
Yeah.
No, let me think about it. I'll give it at the end.
All right.
But yeah, I think this is a very solid movie. I like it.
Very solid.
I could see it as a modern classic just because just gets the Halloween vibe so well.
Yeah.
More than a lot of horror, because a lot of horror movies aren't like Halloween movies also. But this one,
or like,
I don't
they
think
don't
any
really get it.
Except Halloween.
Yeah, it's definitely not a franchise based around it. Okay.
Yeah, but
you'd be surprised how much it's not
unique.
Involving Halloween. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I know.
No, I'm done with that thought.
Okay.
It's a good movie.
All right, buddy. Yeah,
that's all I gotta say.
Now look, I know what you were trying to talk mad shit, Carlos, but here's the problem. One, fuck you. No, I'm kidding.
Look, okay. All right. It always
You're right,
comes to
though.
this.
I feel no, I'm not gonna lie, but I do think this movie deserves some props for being like the most Halloween spirited movie out there. Because like I would say the most Halloween movie of the Halloween franchise is like Halloween 4, and even this, it like outstages that. It outstages other movies that came out around this time, like Satan's Little Helper, which is like a random like masked killer slasher that's goofy as all hell. That's also like a Halloween movie. But I think it speaks volumes that this has managed to rise up and become so popular. Because, like I said, even people who haven't seen it, I think they recognize Sam for sure. Which let's talk about that. What did you guys think about Sam with his mask off?
I thought
I kind of wish
cool.
he kept it on.
Okay, I'm agreeing. I agree with Dalton. I think it looks better when he has it on, but as he has it off, it doesn't bother me at all. Like I'm like, okay,
I thought it was
it's
too
cool
cute
that he's a monster. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he looked too cute with it off.
Huh. Me, I was like, damn, that's
you wanted
a
to
feral
squish his little
thing.
cheeks.
He got these big eyes.
But we didn't even talk about the ending. I mean, that whole ending, of course, was kind of like how was displaying how kind of this character of Sam played into this whole thing, because how he kind of like made sure these rules were followed. You know, because obviously the guy wasn't following any of the rules. You know, he wasn't given any I don't know they explained the actual rules, but of course, like the lanterns weren't lit. You know, it's
like you get the idea.
He was kind of demonizing kids and like messing with them
being
as
a
they were trying to
grouchy
get
old
candy.
fuck.
Yeah, and of course, like Sam takes that very seriously. When I say
seriously,
he's a merciful. He's not a merciful God. He is a balanced God. He's a how would you say that?
He knows when to incite his wrath.
Yeah, he's a fair. He's
rules.
a fair God. Yeah, he has rules and he will follow them. And I'm glad he did that. But yeah, by the end of it, he does go after the main guy, because all he wanted was some candy, and I feel like that was pretty fun. I really I thought that was kind of funny how you're gonna just
right. He goes and starts like basically murdering him,
Yeah,
and at least damn sure attempting to until he gets his little candy bar. And it's like, okay, I'll leave you alone now.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
it's
like
perfect.
it was comedic. Like it just that part kept going like for so long. He just kept torturing him. He's like and then I thought he was about to do it again.
Severed
and he just
hand and
leaves.
everything.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think that part's cool though. You get to see Sam is like made of pumpkin guts, basically.
yeah.
I really liked his design. I know you wished you kept it on. I really liked just the design of him with just the mask on, but I think it displayed the creativity and kind of like. You even talk about it, the animatronics are fantastic. The wolf looks phenomenal, and those effects, and of course, the actual puppet of Sam looks pretty great. I thought he looked cool. He moved really well. The eyes are freaky.
Yeah.
Of course, his pumpkin head was a little like weird too. But I was like, damn, this is really fun and creative. And I'm glad they kept that as a small part. It was kind of like he was there as a pumpkin head, and then as soon as he left, he put it back on, and you can see him like chewing on the chocolate bar with his mouth open. I know. That was kind of funny, but
they explained it away all so well, and that's why I'm okay with that though, is because like it's not like it's a big focal point of the movie. It's kind of like it makes sense why it happens.
Yeah.
If anything, the more impressive part about it is that old man survived that fall down the stairs like he did.
And he got
it to Sam.
He got his Achilles cut, and he got back on that. He's a trooper.
Yeah, I know. And, no, that whole section is so much fun though. And it's just like you get to see Michael Dougherty like having that sense of ironic satire, I guess. With
Yeah.
There's
a lot
I
of
feel
black
like
comedy.
that's something that and it like
Especially when-
permeates throughout the movie.
Yeah, this movie is like it. A lot of it was based around subverting expectations of a typical horror movie, which of course is always really fun to see done right. And I think this one did it incredibly well. I know you watched like the very first scene when she was kind of like watching that guy kind of staring at her from across the street. You're like, oh, it's just gonna be like a Halloween kind of ripoff. It's like, no, he's just a guy waiting for his friends. And I was like, okay, that plays into the actual holiday. You know, it makes sense in the world. It's not just like a stupid throw in. So I really like things like that, and of course, like how you think it's gonna be witches or like an actual party. There turns out to be disgusting looking werewolves and like really brutal. And the
Mike
girl
Dougherty
getting
being a
pranked.
werewolf fan. Oh yeah.
The girl getting pranked. It turns out those actual things are real. The zombie kids
and mean. Mean spirited.
Yeah, but speaking of mean spirited, I'm glad this movie wasn't. I think this movie was actually rather like cheerful, despite all the brutality and killing and kind of like maturity at all. But it was never like cruel to anybody, except for maybe the first person.
It's like it never loses sight of like Halloween spirit is the most important thing, not the kills. And that's good.
And speaking to the black comedy that's in there, the first kid who gets killed by the teacher when he's burying him.
Oh,
He's like
yeah.
stepping on him while he's trying to talk. I was like, am I a psycho for laughing at this?
No, it's pretty funny, man. And it's like so over the top with his like vomiting and everything. It's just like, oh my
it just kept
God,
going.
man. I know.
He's just looking at him.
I know.
Yeah.
It's just
Are
so
you
funny.
done?
But hey, what I was gonna say, Michael Dougherty being a werewolf fan automatically placed this movie higher. You know what I mean? We don't have enough werewolf love. We've got some werewolf love in this season. Carlos especially, because of things that happened outside of the recording of the podcast. But we're not here to talk about that. Just ignore the look on his face. The point is, he has a reverence for the monsters too. I think he knows how to use them, right? That's one thing. It's like when the werewolf stuff does happen, it's pretty damn good, right? It's like, okay, you get to see it, and it's like a lot of people hardly show the wolves, but I feel like they did pretty good with that. And it's it shows what enough to show you.
Yeah. I think it's a pretty well balanced movie, despite a lot of content. I feel like these are a lot of stories that can be extended longer, or maybe not, but I feel like it was done perfectly. None of these stories you felt like were dragging on too long, and
it's
most
just
of them
the
are
execution
short enough. Yeah, I mean, and only being like an hour and 30 minutes is done pretty well.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Dalton? Sorry.
I was just saying, for a lot of movies, it's like the idea could suck, but as long as the execution is there, like it doesn't matter. But for this, it's just like both are pretty good for me.
It fell into place so well.
In my book.
Yeah. And not to mention for like having this be your debut, like damn, he did good, you know? Props to him. Props to Michael Dougherty.
Was that his first movie?
Well,
I think so, right?
Officially, it was.
It was like this one, and then what was his next one? Was Krampus, which came a while after. I feel like.
Yeah, well, actually, I think it's like 8 years. 8 years in between. That's crazy.
Well, I mean, speaking of Krampus, I mean, we might review that during Christmas.
Yeah, let us know if you want to see that.
Do you think it stays pretty close to that? Because I feel like it's the same idea where it's almost like a black comedy. That one's told in a more linear storytelling story, but this one, I think it still has that same kind of spirit where it's like there's rules established that
is he going through all the holidays?
Yeah, he's making his way. I'm not looking forward when he gets to St. Patrick's Day. That'll be a dark day for all of us.
Hey, we already got those movies. We don't need another one.
I know. If Leprechaun goes back to the hood one more time, man, I don't know how many more times they're going to keep letting him in, you know? But to answer your question,
he's not going to make it.
I think yes, but what's weird is that Krampus is like misunderstood in that way. When people watch Krampus, they don't get that it's the same like thing that Trick or Treat's doing. And it's always kind of like, it makes me wonder how people can't see that, you know, that like, yeah, it is. It's not supposed to be like some kind of scary horror movie.
Yeah.
It's just a fun movie.
It's a fun holiday movie.
That is a horror movie.
You'd be surprised what people think about movies.
Honestly.
Like, what are you talking about?
For real. They're like, I mean, I get it, you know, but what can you do?
Yeah.
So what?
It just makes me wonder, like, what about this movie just didn't work for execs to like put money on? I feel like, again, it has everything literally made for a bigger blockbuster movie. You know, it's very, for the most part, for an R-rated movie, I mean, it doesn't have anything super grotesque about it.
It's pretty tame.
Its story is pretty fun. It has a character that people can kind of like enjoy, like almost like a character you can sell toys of, which you know,
which they have done since. But I would say, if anything, it was actually probably had more to do with just the horror like landscape, I guess, of the time, because you figure 2007, that's coming off all the Japanese horror remakes, and it's just like what was perceived as general burnout, I'm guessing, you know, whatever.
And that was a lot of that's when Friday the 13th and the new, I think it's a new
this
Friday the 13th.
Before the remake.
Okay, I was gonna say, was this about like the times of remakes, like of like Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th?
Yeah, Texas Chainsaw came out before, I want to say, or the same year. I wanted to say 2006 for the Texas Chainsaw remake, but might have been 2007. But I know 2009 was the Friday the 13th one, and that one was obviously a big hit. But I think it was just lack of faith from a director who didn't establish himself yet.
That's a good
yeah.
point.
It's just a damn shame, you know, because it's like you said, it feels like it would have been such a hit, but there's also the chance that maybe it wouldn't have been.
I don't think it would have been because
worse.
This is what I'm thinking. Like, this is the kind of movie I could easily see, like, if it came out in theaters, if, like, I don't know, teenagers went to see it, they'd be like, this isn't even scary. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
true.
And,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
they
that is a
wouldn't
good
get
point.
that it's not really supposed to be, like, super scary, but they'd think it was, but they're like, this is lame.
Yeah.
Like, it's trying too hard to be scary, and it's not. And, like...
Yeah, and we brought it
Yeah.
up, like, during... when we talked about Ginger Snaps, our big debut comeback, how over time with the introduction of like how popular horror media has gotten on like social media, right? That movie got like a lot of traction, but this movie got so much, and I feel like that word of mouth about how this movie is just like a fun holiday movie, the same way that something like The Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown is, you know, where you just kind of throw it on and it's like, this is like perfect for this season.
Yeah.
I
Like a
do feel, I mean, I already
watch.
said, right? Like, I feel like it goes beyond being like exclusively Halloween watch. Like, you can watch this movie anytime, and it's just a blast. But like, it's helped it out a ton, and it's so cool to be able to see, like, because I saw this not long after it came out, and just to get to see all the love it's gotten over the years, it warms my heart.
It warms that frosty heart of yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of frosty hearts, who knows? Maybe we will do Krampus if you tell us to do it and send hate mail to Carlos involving
Death threats.
Yes, any threat you want to send to Carlos, you have our permission. No, I'm kidding. Is there anything else you guys would like to talk about before we wrap this up? Oh, Dalton, you never gave us your score. You've been keeping us in suspense this whole time,
Hey.
man. I've literally
yeah.
got no
Said-
fingernails left.
He said he wanted to wait till the end.
Yeah.
This is the end?
This is the
is the
end.
time?
This is close to
Okay.
the end.
Okay, you asked for it.
He still hasn't
Trick or
thought of it
treat.
yet. I could tell. I could tell.
No, I'm
You've
gonna-
been thinking about it.
I thought of a 3.5 out of 5, because usually 2.5 is my average, and this is definitely better than average to good. But the only reason I'm not giving it like a 4 or a 5 is because I don't know. It's maybe just not one of those movies that basically my rankings are just like favorites, like if I would watch it again or if it like changed my life or something. I don't know. But
Makes
this
sense.
one is just a fun movie, a good movie. If you throw it on, I'll watch it. But I don't know if I'll go out of my way to like watch it again, even though I really liked it.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, for me
And
it's
for
a
Carlos,
3.5.
it's just Carlos. It's just spite at this point. It's just like
Not
he
really.
goes and
It's just-
sees. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I mean, like again, it's just a movie that it wasn't going for perfection. It's not some kind of art house movie. It's kind of just a movie to have fun. And usually those movies aren't made with like a lot of craftsmanship or anything like that. There is a lot of attention to detail, which I really appreciate. But other than that, I mean, camera work was about, you know, it's very similar to almost a hocus pocus kind of movie, which I'm not saying it's like that, but I that's the feeling I kind of got, where it's like fun Halloween, you know, with cool characters that you care about, and, you know, a respectable and fun kind of villainous character, which, you know, it's not really villainous. Sam is kind of just a fun little
fun little guy,
person.
but
Fun little guy.
iconic in his own
Rascal.
right. Yeah.
Iconic, which yeah, I think Universal has definitely seen that for sure, because I've seen him almost every time I go to Universal Studios during Halloween. They always have the mask, and or like he's displayed somewhere. So you can
that's
only
cool.
hope. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can only hope that Universal will actually fund a sequel. But,
Yeah,
again,
hopefully.
we've heard word of many years, and Michael Dougherty, I think, has definitely earned. Oh, I mean, I don't know if they trust him yet, because
Yeah,
I mean,
he's
on his
thinking.
movies-
He's thinking about King of the Monsters again.
no, I mean, like, I did like that movie. It was another, 7 out of 10. But I think I was gonna say he's not respected. But I don't know if that movie made a lot of money to like put him on a pedestal. Like, okay, we're ready to give you the number 2. But I think with the theatrical release this year for
for Trick or Treat.
this movie Trick or Treat, I think they're definitely thinking about doing a number 2, because
Yeah.
they'll probably see the money rolling in.
Yeah,
For this one,
and for
despite
anybody
it being
who has seen
like
it,
over
or-
10 years old.
Yeah, anybody who's seen it, the comics are very widely available for pretty cheap, and that's like a sequel comic. Not only because I know there's a set that has both the adaptation of the movie in comic form, and then there's the sequel to it. And that's pretty cool. So I don't know that he would necessarily adapt that, but you know, it's there for anybody who wants more Trick or Treat in your life. There you go. And you already know me being the voice of reason. I'll say it's a perfect movie. No, I'm kidding. I think it's cool. Like, despite me saying that shit and joking around and saying that Carlos will only give a 7 out of 10 to every movie I give a 5 out of 5 to, I think it's cool that, like, a movie that I do love, that, like, even you guys can watch it, and even though you don't like it the same, like, as much, you still really enjoy watching it. And, like, it's something that you remember. Sure. It's not something you just turn on and forget one day later. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that says something in and of itself. Yeah, but also Carlos does give low ratings out of spite. But that's besides the point. That's besides the point.
Fight!
This is it's a good movie. It's a good movie you can put on. You know, get a little blanket, maybe just some ice cream, put on during Halloween if you got nothing else to do.
Whole tub.
Get some pumpkin spice coffee. Get some pumpkin spice bread.
Especially on a fucking Halloween that is on a fucking Monday. You know.
I know. What else are you gonna do?
What else are you gonna do? Go to a fucking party on Monday? Yeah, right.
Yeah, trick or treat.
Hey, guys! I got a question for you guys. Trick or treat?
No.
If you had to choose,
I'll personally go for treat myself. I don't want no trick. I definitely don't want no trick that Carlos is going to try pulling on me.
Carlos,
I know what that does.
Carlos looks like he's about to pull a trick right now.
I know, right?
We gotta watch our backs. Gotta watch our like Achilles heels.
You're gonna have to watch Trick or Treat again for Halloween. So go do that, people.
Yeah. If you're listening to this section, I feel like you should watch Trick or Treat despite hearing spoilers, because I feel like we explained them enough where you know you can enjoy it, or you can know if you'll enjoy it or not. But also, there's a lot more we didn't discuss that I think that you would find really fun.
Yeah, and it's all about the execution. Like, you gotta watch it to enjoy it.
It's an experience.
Like, even if you know what's gonna happen, it doesn't really matter.
It's still fun.
Yeah, it's still fun.
But yeah, overall, thank you everybody so much for watching and listening to us.
That concludes our big spooktacular blast. We never had a name for it, unfortunately, but this is our big Halloween month, and I think we've always wanted to do this, you know, ever since starting our podcast, but this has been our chance. So thanks if you're listening this far, and even if you listen to even just one of them, you know, thanks.
Thank you. Yeah,
thank you.
It's been a blast to be back. It's been a blast to have Dalton along with us. Yeah, definitely.
Celebrating Halloween with the boys.
Yeah,
hey, and everyone listening to this better watch this movie tomorrow, or we will never put another episode again.
Okay.
We'll have a survey.
A survey. Okay, be like, did you actually watch it? No lying allowed.
What did this person do at this minute? You better answer in 5 seconds.
But yeah, with that being said, we'll be sticking around. This isn't the end. We're gonna take a week break because content overload. It's a lot for everyone to be listening to, but it's a lot to have to put out too. So we'll be back very soon.
Yeah, with a very special entry for our, almost like an initiation at this point for new members of the podcast. But Cole, do you want to announce that or?
Yeah, so we're going back to Studio Ghibli. Finally, it's been a while, but we're gonna return with a big porky movie, maybe even Porco Rosso, huh? What about that? No, I'm kidding. So no, that'll be fun. That's a movie none of us have seen before, so it'd be nice to finally watch that.
That might piss off a lot of people, but yes, we haven't seen that one. But we'll get to it, we'll watch it, and we'll grade it, and we might shit on it. But hey, that's just
let us know what else you want to see, though. Let us know what else you want to see, and who knows, you might even get to see us talk our thoughts on that.
Maybe not. There's a lot of movies.
Okay, well, I wasn't going to be a downer, but
so
maybe not if you guys don't watch the movie tomorrow. But
okay, that one we can't.
That's on you guys.
Yeah.
All right.
But thank you everyone for listening.
Yeah, that concludes our thoughts. All right, Dalton, you know what you got to do. What? Give us your final thought.
Good.
Good, he said.
All right. Well,
in one word. You sent that to me by text. You're like, give us your thought in one word, but I'm not going to say it on the podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
People.
Yeah. So, anyways, good, and
night.
Have a good night.